In a village where strength is measured by appearance, Ifeoma was often overlooked. She was mocked for her size, judged for her appearance, and dismissed by many. But when a deadly drought struck, only one person held the key to saving the entire village. And it wasn't who anyone expected. Will Ifeoma's inner strength be enough to save them all? Or will the village's judgment of her prove fatal? Stay with us as the story of Ifeoma unfolds. In the quiet village of Umudike, nestled between the rolling hills and the glistening river Osim, lived a woman named Ifeoma. Her name, meaning good thing in the Igbo language, was a reflection of her nature, kind, warm-hearted, and always ready to help others. She had the sort of smile that could calm crying babies, and a voice that soothed angry hearts. But despite her goodness, many in Umudike did not see Ifeoma's soul. They only saw her body. Ifeoma was a large woman. Her frame was broad, her arms full, and her waist round. She walked with a waddle, and her footsteps left deeper prints than others in the reddish soil of the village paths. Children sometimes giggled behind her, and women whispered about her when she passed. Even the young men, who were quick to admire beauty, dismissed her with a glance, choosing slimmer women to praise. Though the villagers smiled to her face, their words behind her back were sharp as cutlass blades. How can someone eat so much? She's so fat. How can she move like that? No wonder no man has married her. These were the things they said. But Ifeoma, wise beyond her years, simply continued to live. She rose early each morning, her body moving steadily through the rhythm of her chores. She tended to her garden, which was the most bountiful in the village. She sang as she worked, and the birds often stopped to listen. Her laughter bubbled through the air like a fresh stream, and many said her jollof rice could wake the dead. She lived alone in a small compound left by her parents, with a large barn behind her hut. Few knew that inside the barn were carefully stored yams, grains, smoked fish, and dried herbs. Ifeoma had been taught by her grandmother never to waste food, and she had a quiet habit of saving for the days when the sky might forget to weep. One year, those days came. The rains that usually began in April delayed. May passed, then June. The farmers stared at the sky with worry in their eyes. The ground cracked and the crops withered. Even the river began to shrink, revealing dry patches and old fishing nets caught in roots. By August, the famine had gripped Umudike. The granaries of the proud and the wealthy emptied first. The market, once vibrant and busy, became a quiet, tense place. Mothers with sunken cheeks begged for cassava peels. Children cried at night from hunger. People stopped whispering about Ifeoma because hunger had stolen their tongues. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. A young boy, barely clothed and covered in dust, fainted at Ifeoma's gate. She rushed to him, her large arms lifting him like a fallen chick. She carried him into her hut, gave him water, fed him gently with rice porridge, and let him sleep on her woven mat. When the boy woke up, he whispered, "Please, my sister is also hungry." Without hesitation, Ifeoma stood and followed him. What she found was heartbreaking. A group of 5 children huddled under a broken shelter, their stomachs bloated with air and not food. That night, Ifeoma cooked for them all. The next day, she fed 3 more who came. By the end of the week, word had spread. Hungry people began to appear at her compound quietly, ashamed but desperate. And Ifeoma fed them. She brought out her yams, her rice, her smoked fish. She cooked in large pots with firewood that she gathered herself. She gave herbs to the sick and porridge to the weak. She never asked for payment. Her barn began to empty, but her heart remained full. One afternoon, a group of elders visited her. They sat under her mango tree, ashamed. "Ifeoma," the elders said, We have wronged you. We laughed at your body, never knowing it would carry the strength to save us." Ifeoma looked at them, her eyes calm. "When you see only the outside of a calabash," she said softly, "you may miss the palm wine inside." The elders bowed their heads. From that day, the village of Umudike changed. More and more people began to help one another. Ifeoma's kindness sparked a spirit of unity. Those who had little shared what they could. Young people helped her fetch water and firewood. The chief himself declared her a daughter of honor. But even as the village began to recover from its selfishness, the famine worsened. And though Ifeoma had been a source of hope, even her barn could not last forever. By the time the Harmattan winds began to blow in from the north, her supplies had nearly run out. She sat one evening, watching the sunset, her hands resting on her knees. She was tired. For the first time in months, her smile had faded. That night, she dreamed. In her dream, her late grandmother stood in a field of golden grain. "Ifeoma," she said, "the gods have seen your heart. Tomorrow, rise and walk to the old well by the sacred tree." Ifeoma woke with a start. The old well by the sacred tree had long been abandoned. No one went there anymore. It was said to be dry and haunted. But her dream had felt real. And so, the next morning, she wrapped her cloth, took her walking stick, and began the journey. What she found at the sacred tree would change everything. The journey to the sacred tree took Ifeoma 2 hours. Her steps were slower than they used to be, and the dry air clawed at her throat, but she was determined. As she approached the base of the hill where the sacred tree stood, she paused to rest, placing a hand on her knee and wiping sweat from her brow. The tree stood alone, its bark dark and cracked, with wide roots that sprawled like fingers gripping the earth. Beneath it sat the old well, covered in vines, its stones worn and forgotten. Ifeoma stood still for a moment, remembering the stories. Some said spirits lived in the well. Others claimed it had been cursed after a jealous farmer tried to poison it long ago, but her grandmother had once said, "Truth sleeps in silence, waiting for a voice of faith." With courage in her heart, Ifeoma cleared away the vines. She leaned over the edge of the well and peered in. Nothing but darkness. She picked up a stone and dropped it. Splash, water. Tears welled in her eyes. She had expected nothing and found life. Running back to the village as fast as her legs could carry her, she gathered the young men and women. "There is water at the sacred tree," she exclaimed. "Clean and cool." They followed her, skeptical but hopeful. When they saw it for themselves, joy erupted. In the days that followed, the villagers dug and reinforced the well. Buckets were lowered and raised with songs and dancing. Children laughed as the cool water poured over their hands. Elders wept silently. But the miracle didn't stop there. Beside the tree, where Ifeoma had sat and prayed, green shoots began to sprout. No one had planted them. They simply appeared, flourishing with a speed no one had seen before. Yams, cassava, ugu leaves, and maize bloomed in rich patches as if the land itself had awakened. The elders declared it sacred ground. They named it Ifeoma's Grove. As food became abundant again, life in Umudike bloomed with a deeper awareness. People became more compassionate. They spoke kindly of others and remembered Ifeoma's resilience whenever they were tempted to judge. Young women came to her for advice. Young men now bowed in respect. Even the children who had once mimicked her now sang songs about her courage. But Ifeoma never boasted. She remained humble, tending to her grove, teaching children about plants, and helping mothers prepare herbal remedies. Her body remained as full as ever, but now people said, "There is strength in her arms and wisdom in her walk." One day, a visitor came from the neighboring kingdom. a scholar named Olatunji, who traveled across villages collecting stories of heroes and wise women. He listened to the tale of the famine, of the sacred tree, of the woman who fed a village when the sky forgot to rain. He sat with Ifeoma under the mango tree and asked, "What gave you the strength to keep giving, even when others mocked you?" Ifeoma smiled gently. "When you carry love inside you, it becomes your food. They could not see my worth, but I could still see theirs." The scholar bowed deeply. "May your story be told across the lands." And it was. From Umudike to faraway kingdoms, the story of Ifeoma, the woman they once laughed at, became a tale told to children, a lesson shared in gatherings, and a reminder that true beauty, true strength, and true greatness come from within. Ifeoma's story shows us that true strength isn't always what meets the eye. Sometimes it's found in kindness, resilience, and the courage to stand up when others doubt you. What do you think? Can someone's worth truly be judged by their appearance? Or is there more beneath the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear how Ifeoma's journey has inspired you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories from enchanted African realms. See you in the next tale.